Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the No DQ live recap of NXT Takeover Vengeance Day, a special Valentine's Day WWE pay-per-view from the Capitol Wrestling Center, aka the Performance Center. Shout out to everybody in the chat room watching this recap live. If you enjoy this video, please give it a like on YouTube and subscribe if you haven't already over at youtube.com/AaronRiftNoDQ. And I do ask that if you send in super chats to please stick to the topic if possible, i.e. if you want to talk about the main event, send the super chat during the main event. And Nick Glavin says the Zelda shirt is cool. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it. Let's go ahead and get started with our beginning of the show, which actually, we had something noteworthy happen during the kickoff. We had the debut appearance. Well, actually, it was technically his return to NXT, but he really was not involved on NXT television. He was around before NXT got going on the WWE network and became a big deal. Eli Drake is now in NXT. He has a new name. His name is LA Knight, which is an interesting name. I'm not completely sold on the name. However, he could still do the LA Knight like he does Eli Drake. So I'm sure people will be fine with it in the long run, and they'll get used to it over time. He cut a really nice promo. He just came up to the announce area where you had Wade Barrett and that guy from Barstool Sports who was doing the kickoff. And you had LA Knight just basically making his presence felt and talking about how everyone's on notice. Anyone who has a championship, he's coming for them. I'm happy to see Eli Drake in NXT, and hopefully this is a short stint because he's 38 years old and he should probably be on the main roster as soon as possible. You know, he's not a young spring chicken. He's pushing 40. I think you definitely have to get him on the main roster fairly soon. But a nice way for him to get established before going to the main roster. And hey, if it means he debuts in 6 months in front of a full crowd, maybe a full crowd, then that would be even better for him. Like, I think that would be better than him debuting on the main roster right now. Because if he shows up, like, say, the night after SummerSlam or somewhere with a huge crowd and people itching to see live wrestling again, he would get a major reaction, and that would help his chances of succeeding on the main roster. And Let's Hit the Road Jack says, why would anybody want to be on the main roster? Money? More people watching you, you're a bigger star on the main roster. I mean, it comes down to that. Maybe you don't have as much creative freedom, but you'd be a bigger star. Then again, for some people, it's not about the money. It's not about the fame. And Christopher Mace says, Eli Drake was doing amazing in NWA. Oh, yeah, for sure. Eli Drake was having a nice little run in the NWA, appearing on NWA Power prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. But we'll talk more about LA Knight as he continues to establish himself in the NXT brand. Let's get to the pay-per-view itself. We kicked off with the first match in the Women's Dusty Rhodes Classic final, or the first Dusty Rhodes Tag Team final match for the women. We had Dakota Kai and Raquel González against Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart. Really solid opening match. Wasn't the best match? There were some botches, but I have to say the energy was there, and it was a lot of fun. The match was still very fun to watch. Ember and Shotzi worked really well. However, basically the storyline in this match, they could not put away Raquel González. Raquel has been very protected in the booking. They're trying to build her up as a monster, and Ember and Shotzi tried to do everything possible to put away Raquel, but Raquel kept coming back, and they even double teamed Raquel. They could still not put her away. And eventually Raquel took Ember Moon and threw her off the stage, which put Ember out of the equation. And then Raquel hit her power slam to pin Shotzi Blackheart. And you have Dakota Kai and Raquel González as your winners of the Women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, meaning they will face Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler for the tag team titles, which I agree with Josh. I was surprised with this one because I did not think we would be seeing heel versus heel. And also I felt like Raquel González was being groomed for Io Shirai and the NXT Women's Championship. But hey, there you go. Maybe there's something else planned for Io Shirai in the future. Very, very solid opening match to kick off the pay-per-view. I definitely enjoyed it. And let's move on here to the next match, which was for the North American Championship. We had Johnny Gargano versus Kushida. And going into this match, I was not really feeling it because I felt like, well, there's no chance Kushida can win the title here. You know, he's pretty much a mid-level guy in NXT. I guess he could always pull off the upset win, but I never really thought that Kushida was going to be the guy to win the title off of Gargano, especially when Gargano lost it not too long ago. So we had the Way, Johnny Gargano's faction, making their way to the ringside area. They were walking in the backstage room when all of a sudden Dexter Lumis popped up from behind and grabbed Austin Theory. He had that towel with some kind of chemical in it, chloroform or whatever it is, and dragged Austin Theory away into the darkness. You had the rest of the Way coming out to the stage, and Gargano was like, where the hell did Austin Theory go? He summoned Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell to go to the back and try and find him. He went into the ring and had his match with Kushida, and it was a hell of a match. I thought it was a great match between these guys. Kushida tried to get on the hoverboard early, the hoverboard lock, and he worked over Gargano's arm. Gargano came back, and they exchanged a ton of near falls, and then they double clotheslined each other, and they kept trying to get submissions on each other. They knocked each other down again, traded some blows, and then Gargano put the Gargano escape on, which Kushida was able to counter out of and put on his own submission. Gargano then sent Kushida into the middle turnbuckle. Kushida came back again, got the hoverboard lock on, and Gargano managed to break the hold. He sent Kushida into the ropes, and then Gargano hit the one final beat on the ramp, got him in the ring, hit another one, and picked up the victory. Really, really fun match here between these guys. It was predictable, but I did enjoy it. It was well executed, and Johnny Gargano picks up another win on TakeOver, and I think he has the record for the most TakeOver matches, I think he has the most matches. I think Bálor has the most wins on TakeOver. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. Great match between these guys. I definitely enjoyed this one a lot, even though I never really thought that Kushida would win the match. We then had the Men's Dusty Classic, which was the Grizzled Young Veterans going up against the hot new tag team, MSK, formerly the Rascals in Impact Wrestling. And yes, Josh Mansfield says Bálor has the most wins right now at 7 straight. Bálor doing really good in NXT right now, and Gargano starting to have a nice streak going in NXT on the TakeOver pay-per-views, because for the longest time he was losing at TakeOver, and now he's starting to build his own winning streak. on TakeOver pay-per-views. So anyways, we had the men's Dusty Rhodes Classic final. And before the match, we had the veterans cutting a promo. Gibson said that MSK, they're all laughing and smiling, and they're not going to enjoy the fight. They're not going to enjoy what happens to them. And the veterans vowed to win that Dusty Rhodes trophy, which they were unable to win last year. So MSK had a fast start. They were doing a lot of flashy moves in this match, doing the dives over the top. However, the veterans were able to slow the pace down, and the referee got distracted at one point, and the veterans double-teamed Carter. Match continued for a while with the veterans in control, and then Lee got the hot tag. He did a crazy dive where he leaped over the ring post all the way out onto both veterans. And then back in the ring, Gibson was finally able to stop Lee's momentum for a bit. Drake hit a 450, which Lee was able to kick out of. And then Gibson picked up Lee on his shoulders on the outside of the ring. Drake did this running dive to the outside, basically hitting a doomsday device. And then Lee was able to make a comeback from that somehow. And he had a double team neck breaker off the middle rope, Lee and Carter. And then Lee pinned Drake, giving MSK the win in the men's Dusty Rhodes Classic match. MSK had a great showing here. Match was awesome. And yeah, they're looking really strong. They've had a hot streak in WWE since they've debuted, and now they will get a future opportunity at the tag team titles against One Lorcan and Danny Burch. And would not shock me if they win the titles, and that would be a very strong run for MSK up to this point. And yes, to answer OG Crushes, I'm really enjoying the tag team division. They're definitely building up some momentum, bringing MSK into the mix, getting some fresh faces in there. Definitely a positive. And Josh Mansfield says, I was on the edge of my seat. Moving on here, we had the NXT Women's Championship match. We had Io Shirai defending against Toni Storm and Mercedes Martinez. And this match got going before the ring announcer could even finish the introductions for this match. They started brawling and going at it right out of the gate. And it was a good match. It wasn't as long as the other ones, and I don't think it was quite as good as the other ones. It was still a good match, but I would say it was the weakest match of the night. And we had a few mishaps. One mishap was where Toni Storm tried to clear off the announce table, and well, it collapsed. So yeah, that was unfortunate. And you had Io climbing up the scaffold on the outside of the ring, and she did this flying cross body all the way down onto Toni and Mercedes. And that was the highlight of the match, and definitely one of the highlights of the show. And Io got taken out of the mix for a while, and it was down to Toni and Mercedes. They went back and forth trying to pin each other with Io out of the match. But then at one point, there was a pinfall attempt, and Io Shirai came in with a moonsault, hitting both of them. And then Io went over and pinned Mercedes to retain her championship. And I guess we'll see who her next challenger is. I thought it was going to be Raquel González, maybe at the WrestleMania takeover, or maybe even WrestleMania if the NXT Women's title is defended on that show. But I was thinking that Raquel was going to be the next challenger. However, now her and Dakota Kai have an opportunity at Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, which is kind of strange. But yeah, good stuff here from them. I enjoyed it, even though it wasn't at the level of the other matches. I still thought it was really solid. And then we had our main event of the evening. But actually, before I get to that, we had a little video, like a quick music video from Cameron Grimes. And I guess his gimmick now is that he's rich. He made some money on the stocks or whatever the gimmick is. He has a lot of money. And there was this music video, like a rap music video, and I thought it was pretty entertaining. Dare I say, I think he's doing the big money character better than Matt Hardy. But yeah, I'm liking it so far. It's a nice change of pace here. I mean, really, we needed some kind of change with Cameron Grimes after he basically got squashed by Dexter Lumis. He needed some kind of a character overhaul, and you gotta do something to freshen him up. So I'm definitely enjoying that. Anyways, we get to the main event, which was Finn Balor versus Pete Dunne for the NXT World Title, and kind of the same scenario as Gargano and Kushida. Match was really good. I would say great match, but there was never a moment in time where I thought Pete Dunne was going to win. And the other thing is, and I've said this before, but I'll say it again, I miss more Ronaldo. And I think Ronaldo would have elevated this match to another level. And of course, not having a jam-packed arena full of fans hurts it as well. I think this is one of those matches that would have been even better. Like it was great and all, but I think it would have been even better with Ronaldo and a full crowd. Like I think the lack of those two things brought the match down, and the fact that, well, I never expected Pete Dunne to win this match, but it was really good. They started off slow pace, which, pretty standard in the main event. You started off slow, and they work over the body parts, and Dunne doing the thing with the joint manipulation, and Balor was going after Dunne's knee. Dunne came off the top rope, and Balor moved, and Dunne hurt his knee, so Balor went after that and went back and forth for a while. Dunne managed to counter a coup de grace with a submission. Balor tried to fight out of it, and eventually he was able to land his foot on the rope. However, he pretty much passed out from it, and Dunne felt like he won the match because Balor was out. However, Balor's foot hit the rope. So it was kind of a nice way to lay out this match to make Dunne look strong. So I did like that. And referee checked on Balor to see if he could continue, and Balor, of course, wanted to keep going, so the match continued. Dunne hit the bitter end, and again, I think if it was a different time of the year, or if Dunne had been built stronger, or if Balor was champion for a longer period of time, or I wasn't expecting somebody else to challenge Balor next, I would have gone more into the near fall. But not many people kick out of the bitter end. I'm not even sure. Well, I can't say that for sure, but I don't recall too many people kicking out of the bitter end. And we had Balor managed to pull it off. He got out of the bitter end, and we had Dunne go for a second bitter end, which Balor was able to counter out of. And as the match continued, Dunne kept trying to go after the fingers of Balor. Balor was struggling with the fingers, but Balor managed to gain his momentum back, and he ripped out Dunne's mouthpiece and hit a double drop kick to the face. Then Balor got up to the top, hit the coup de grace, and then hit the 1916 DDT, scoring the pinfall victory over a very game Pete Dunne, as they like to say. After the match was over, Balor celebrated, but as he was celebrating on the stage, we had Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, Pete Dunne's teammates, faction mates. They attacked Balor from behind, and there was a beatdown 3-on-1 in the ring when we had the Undisputed Era make the save, minus Bobby Fish. We had the three members of Undisputed Era come to the ring to make the save, and they're all standing there, and I'm thinking, okay, here we go. Here comes the the turn, Undisputed Era heel turn. And then they roll up the graphics, and I'm like, okay, well, they're going to do this again. And sure enough, that's what they did. They put up the graphics. And the first time it happened, I thought it was awesome. But now they're overdoing it with the put up the graphics and then something happens afterwards. It's a routine we've seen many times now, and it's not surprising anymore. So Adam Cole hit the super kick to Balor. However, Kyle O'Reilly was not on board with this. Kyle O'Reilly, him and Balor, they have respect for each other because of their past matches. You know, they have that mutual respect. And Kyle O'Reilly was very upset with Cole for super kicking Balor. So Cole responded with a super kick to O'Reilly, knocking him down, and Cole stormed out of the ring. And then you had Roderick Strong standing there, not sure what to do. Wasn't sure if he should help O'Reilly or walk away with Cole. And that aspect of it I thought was really well done, with the nice cliffhanger. What's going to happen now with the Undisputed Era? Is O'Reilly staying babyface? What's going to happen with Roderick Strong? And where does Bobby Fish play into all this? So as far as the ending goes in the cliffhanger, great stuff here. And overall, another great NXT pay-per-view. I mean, it always delivers. Every match was great, and even the women's triple threat I still thought was really good. So yeah, start to finish, very fun show to watch. Exactly what you would expect from NXT. Lacked a bit in the surprises, in my opinion, and wasn't necessarily surprised by the Cole super kick, but it was well executed with the three members kind of going off in different directions here. So overall, I think I would give this show an A-. I think having more Ronaldo, having a live crowd, and maybe having a few more surprises on the show. I did like Eli Drake showing up, so that was a nice plus. A few things I might have done a little bit differently, but all in all, another really strong NXT show. Amanda and Brandon and Josh Mansfield and Colin Andrew all give it a solid A. John gives it a B+. And Asim says this was one of the weakest takeovers, a solid B, which is still not, you know, that's still a B. That would still be classified as a good show. Really enjoyed NXT. Definitely worth checking out, as they all are. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the live recap. I appreciate your viewership and support. And again, if you haven't already, go over to youtube.com/AaronRift, no DQ. If you like the video, subscribe, turn on notifications to get the latest updates, and just spread the word. If you liked this recap, please tell a friend, and whatever you can do to let people know about the channel, I would very much appreciate that. Take care, everybody. Stay safe, stay positive, and not COVID positive. And wait a second. David came in with a $2 super chat. So one more comment here says, as good as NXT is, when is Adam Cole coming up? Doesn't look like it's going to happen. Probably should have happened quite a while ago, but he's staying in NXT for the time being. Maybe he's going to feud with his own Undisputed Era teammates. I mean, really, that's the only new thing he can do. Yeah, he could feud with Balor, but we've seen Balor and Cole already. I mean, we got to see something different if Cole's going to be sticking around in NXT. So there you go. Cole versus O'Reilly, perhaps at some point. Maybe WrestleMania weekend. We'll see what happens with that. Anyways, guys, take care, and I will see you all next time.